Denise Huftelin was named the 8th president of Salt Lake Community College in September 2014 and feels the privilege to have served Salt Lake Community College students, faculty, and staff for more than 2 decades. In her tenure as president, Dr. Huftelin has launched a college-wide strategic planning cycle which has produced a new mission, vision, values, and goals for the college. Dr. Huftelin serves on a number of community boards and councils in the areas of education service and women's leadership. She holds national board leadership positions as well. President Huftelin earned her doctorate in education, leadership, and policy from the University of Utah.
Good afternoon, evening to all of you. What a treat it is to be here in this beautiful facility and with such a lineup as Susan called us. So the World Series starts tonight. Mia and I were just talking about that. You may not know baseball. I don't know baseball, but I'll fake it for just a minute. I am the opening pitcher, and Mia Love is going to be our closer tonight. So you guys can enjoy that great lineup. Yeah, cleanup batter. So that's about the extent of my baseball knowledge. We got to move on. Anyway, I am so happy to be with you tonight, and I want to thank Susan Madsen and Parker and Amanda and Emily and all those wonderful green-shirted people that helped me find my way and get us to UVU and be so welcoming, and just thank you all for taking time to come and listen. Hopefully what we say tonight will be inspiring and will help you think about your own life in a variety of ways. So I'm going to talk really fast. Susan said we have to go in 15 minutes. There's a gigantic clock ticking down right in front of my face, so I'm going to talk fast. If you want to talk to me later about anything else, email me, okay? So she asked us to talk about 3 things: what we lead, how we lead, and why we lead. And I'm going to get that out of the way really quick, okay? Here's what I lead. I lead Salt Lake Community College, which is, as Susan said, an organization, institution in Salt Lake City, Utah. We serve the Salt Lake County area. We have about 61,000 students annually. We have 4,000 plus employees, and we have 10 sites across Salt Lake County. So we're a big footprint in Salt Lake County. I've worked at Salt Lake Community College for 24 years in a whole variety of positions, and I've loved every single minute of it. So that's what I lead formally. And we often talk about leadership as positional leadership, right? If you're not a president, for instance, you're not leading. That's hui. You are all leading every day. I just happen to have a positional leadership, or position in leadership that I have the privilege of holding. But I've also led a lot of things throughout my 30-plus year career. And as Susan mentioned, I just want to give you a glimpse about kind of where it started and where the little nugget of compelling passion, you got to do this, started. I would argue that I can trace my leadership interest to 2nd grade. When I entered the Edith Head Costume Design Contest in Costa Mesa, California, and I won 3rd place for my dress design, and Edith Head actually produced it. Woo! It was so cool. And it was more competitive than leadership. I really wanted that $50 savings bond or whatever it was. But I thought, I can draw, and I have fashion sense. I'm going to enter as a 2nd grader. And then I think I just kept finding ways to find opportunities to kind of grow and thrive and push myself and challenge myself. So I can trace it to 2nd grade. I didn't take you back to my 2nd grade world. Oh, my mic came off. Where is it? Oh my gosh, where'd it go? That could be dangerous. Okay, I'm back. Stop the clock. Yes, stop the clock. Reset that clock. I get 2 seconds more. Okay. So I can really trace it to my undergraduate experience at the University of Utah. I really kind of found my voice, and I started becoming part of these positional leaders, right? An officer in my sorority. I volunteered for committees in my department of study as a young undergraduate, and then just kind of started becoming more and more formal. So this is just this kind of funky timeline of my career leadership. Then about mid-career, I decided, hey, I want to have a family, right? So I have 2 sons, and kind of mid-career, early to mid-career, I had 2 beautiful boys, 4 years apart, and so motherhood becomes now this way to lead. How do I expose my children to the kinds of things I want them involved in? How do I inspire them? How do I take them on journeys that they need in order to grow and develop and be fine young men? So you're kind of leading in this different place. And then in the community, this was not an add-on. This is just because of passion and education and being a mom, I'm pulled into other things in the community that I care deeply about. So I don't go looking for kind of tangential ways to lead. You just find your passion, and then you find all the things that kind of connect to that passion where you can use your skills, right? And develop your passion and your talents. So that's kind of how some of that has weaved together. I did not wake up as an undergraduate thinking, I want to be the president of a college someday. I never had that never was it in my sight. I wanted to be a dean of students. That was my ultimate goal. And I got that goal a little bit before I turned 40. I became a dean of students. And so you'll see as your life, this is a young crowd. You'll see as your life goes on, you start to think differently at different phases of your life because you suddenly realize that there's more out there that you can contribute to than you ever thought possible. And so when I became a dean of students, it was clear to me I could still do some other things, right? So I started to get involved. How do I lead? This is a shot of me leading our values discussion at Salt Lake Community College last year. And I would like to think that I lead with joy, that I lead with humor, that I lead for transformation. But mostly I think I hope I lead based on fundamental values and fundamental vision. Like where are we going and how are we going to work together to get there? Everybody has that capacity. Everybody sitting in this room right now has values they care deeply about and something they can see that makes the world better that they want to move towards, right? A vision. I think that's how I lead. There are people in the audience that work at Salt Lake Community College, so you could ask them later, is she just kind of hoo-hoo, or does she really think is that manifesting some way, right, in the way she leads? So I'd like to think that that's how I lead. And this is the most important part because this is what gets you off the confidence scary part. Why? I have 2 beautiful sons who are going to inherit this world. And I want it to be a kind and generous and educated and smart and inclusive place for them and for their family, etc. It's a very selfish reason. I want to leave this world a better place for my beautiful boys. That's why I lead. And I don't know why I led before I had those babies. I don't know what was bringing me there before, but that's why I do it now. And for all the students that I meet every single day at Salt Lake Community College. The importance of education cannot be understated. We transform lives at Salt Lake Community College every day. I could sit here right now, for every single person that's in this room, I could tell you of a story of a student whose life has been changed by education, by higher education. And that just gets me up every morning. It makes me happy at night. I drive to work joyfully. It's a great place to be. And I couldn't do that if I didn't take the step into positional leadership. I couldn't have that kind of influence. But when I was the interim president, and again, I said I'd never really wanted to be president. I was the vice president of student affairs. I loved my job. I had the best job in the world. I'd been it for 12 years. They asked me to be the interim president. And I thought, you know what, being an interim is a pretty good deal because you can kind of like try it on and like fake it for a while, and then you can go back to your other job. And so I did. I said, sure, I'll do the interim thing. So I jumped into this interim thing, and I had all of these social constructions of what leadership looked like at that level that I had in my head. This is a chart for why women and men don't want top executive positions. And 2 of those that resonated, look at the gaps, where the gaps are for women and men. One of the gaps is I don't want the pressure, the big gap, see it? And another gap is it's not consistent with who I am. Okay, that was totally me. It's not consistent with who I am, okay? I am loud, I wear weird shoes, I like to laugh, I like to leave at 4:30 and put the top down on my convertible and drive really fast on the freeway home. I like to do all these things that aren't presidential. And so it wasn't until I became the interim and started being the president who I was, and people started saying, you should just be the president. And I would say, I can't be the president. I'm not presidential. And they would say, but you're the president. The very fact that you're the president makes you presidential. You can lead this way. You can lead this way. And I had these funky social constructions of power in my head. What does it mean to be a leader? Decisive and commanding and solid and very stern. I don't know where they came from, but that's what I thought. I didn't think you could laugh as president or be silly. I thought you had to be ultra political and savvy. I thought all of these things about what it meant to be a president, not until I was in the role did I realize that I had been limiting myself through those projections of what leadership looks like. And this is why many women, I think, defer those opportunities. You think, oh, most of us think of leadership in a pretty gendered way. It's getting better for you millennials, but for me as a Gen Xer, most of the leadership constructions came from the military, and they were male-based, and they were authoritarian. And that's just not how I saw myself, right? That's a really gendered view of leadership, and you could throw it out the window, okay? You're gonna hear from all these phenomenal women tonight that show you that it's just not the way it is. You worry because you can't be a mother and a leader. Yes, you can. It's really hard, but you're doing your kids a service by following your passion and being a leader and letting them watch you struggle and learn and lead and have phenomenal experiences and grow alongside them, right? We are not done when we become parents. We keep learning, and that's good for our children, I think, to see as a mom. Confidence is a big deal, and not until I was the president or the interim president did I see, oh yeah, people are saying I could do this, I guess I'll apply, right? I needed people to say to me, you're doing it right now and you need to keep doing it. So you need to give yourself some breaks in terms of these deferrals because we need you. And it's all in your head. All this stuff about what a leader looks like and how it's not you, that's all in your head, okay? I asked women I admire enormously. 2 years ago, what asset do you bring to leadership that you think is the fundamental thing that makes you effective? This is what they said. Do you see commanding, stern, boring? No. Look what's up there. Optimism, listening, merriment. Who thought of merriment as a leadership characteristic? This is what these women told me, these powerful, successful, brilliant women who are in our state right now. The larger the word, the more it was said, right? That's a word cloud. You guys know how those work. Listening. Women listen. Optimism. Women are optimistic and hopeful, curious. This is what leadership looks like. And this is you. This is you. So if you're ever thinking, no, that's not wrong. That's just wrong. You got to get it out of your head. It's all in your head. So here's what I want to ask you to just reframe for a minute. Think about, instead of all that pressure, there's so much pressure. There is a lot of pressure. How about this? There is so much opportunity. I am working in leadership of a group of 4,000 employees that can affect 61,000 students' lives. You could call it pressure. You could also call it opportunity. You know what? We can change people's lives. So here's an example. We launched the SLCC Promise. This is not about SLCC, but this is a decision we made, and I could help make it because I was in a position of power, that is going to give students money to come to college, and we have 450 students taking us up on it this fall that probably wouldn't have been in college. That's leadership, that's power to transform lives. It's not bullying, it's not mean, it's not autocratic, it's using power for good, right? You can use leadership as a responsibility to shape the environment that you lead in. Women love to shape environments. I love to put my fall wreath out and my pumpkins, and I love to shape environments. I'm really good at it. Here's how we shaped it at SLCC. I said, okay guys, this is it. I want you to think big. I said this at Convocation last year. I want you to think big. I want you to get the right stuff done, not just stuff. Get the right stuff done. I want you to have fun. This is what you do at work. Those people in that little intersection, that's who we're going to hire. People can do all of those things. I don't want you if you can only think big but you can't get anything done. I don't want you if you get a bunch of stuff done that doesn't mean anything. And I don't want you if you're just having fun and who knows what else you're doing. I want you to be right in that middle. And we can have great fun, we can transform lives, we can laugh our heads off, but we can be serious about education. That's shaping an environment, right? Then you can bring collective energy. Women are the best collectors ever. We can collectively create energy to solve social and economic issues. That's huge. And we've done it at SLCC by looking at inclusivity. You guys, UVU is doing fabulous things about inclusivity. We're doing things about inclusivity because there are achievement gaps that are ruining our society, and we need to narrow those and shorten them. So you can use leadership in lots of different ways. You can step into it in a really authentic way as a woman. And I worry that you're not taking advantage of that. Look at this graph. This graph makes me crazy. I know that not everyone in this room wants to be a top executive, but when you're in management, senior level or CEO level, you have more decision power. And women make decisions differently than men. And look what happens to women. As the jobs go up, the women's ratio goes down. That is affecting the decisions we make in our institutions. And I would argue, I would appeal to you to say, what talents do I have? What gifts do I have? What's keeping me from not doing this, pursuing this? Because not all of you want to get there, I totally get it, but those of you that want to be leaders in positional ways, I want to encourage you to go as high as you can, because you can influence there. You can influence really important decisions. So I just want you to wonder to yourself, what's holding you back? What is holding you back? Every single person in this room has the capacity to lead, and I want you there in the room when we're making those important decisions. So thank you, and have a great evening.